So this is my bookshelf, or my bookshelves. You can see I have so many books that they're like stacked on top of one of the shelves. But yeah, I love books. But anyway, yeah, let me get this camera recentered again. Is it sliding up? Nope, okay. And ironically today I wanted to talk about minimalism, which is not what you might think my book collection is, like minimalist, or minimalism is just basically living with less. It's really like living a simple life, limiting what you have, especially in terms of like physical possessions, right? Like we live in a consumerist culture. People buy a lot of stuff. We just got past like the Christmas season and everything, so people are even acquiring even more stuff that like around this time of year, around the new year. But I've been using this new year and this whole move that I went through recently as like an opportunity to simplify my life, because I get easily overwhelmed by clutter and like my surroundings being overly complicated. As I've mentioned before, and as many of you know, I have OCD, which has many different facets to it, like cleanliness, organization, completion, intrusive thoughts, all that sort of thing. But the one that's been pervading my life the most in recent years has been hoarding, which is actually like collecting things, like gathering items and things like that, physical and digital, so that collections and stuff are complete. It's also not cheap to hoard. It can make you waste and spend a lot of money. I've been trying to live a more minimalist lifestyle, and there's been a trend in recent years, or like a fad even, of like different forms of minimalism. There's been like the only living with 100 things outlook or approach to things, where it is what it sounds like, you only own 100 things, which is very, very difficult, especially if you count things like forks and knives and spoons in your drawers at home, like essential items. Usually those are not counted. But if you do count them, it's like, whoa, it adds up really quick. It adds up quickly anyway, especially with like clothes and stuff. I tried that. The idea of that was like very like liberating to me. I felt a lot of freedom and like, okay, I'm going to get rid of things and only limit it to a certain number. But quickly, especially as I discussed it in therapy more and more, that idea became more of a burden, more overwhelming, and was causing me more anxiety. So I started looking for like other ways that I could be a minimalist, like what's a better way to start determining what to cut out of my life and what to keep and things like that. Which leads me to someone who's very famous on the internet and in the literary world as well, but Marie Kondo, who wrote a book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And I have here an adaptation of that book called The Life-Changing Manga of Tidying Up. It feels like I'm doing a book review right now. Maybe I should, because this was a very helpful book, a very fun version of the book too. So Marie Kondo is a famous professional organizer, and I guess she would qualify as a minimalist too, but she's all about not just, as the meme has popularized, determining what in your life sparks joy and does not spark joy, but also like how to take care of the things that you do already own to make the most of like what the things that do spark joy, and to make the things in your immediate environment more conducive to a fulfilling life. This version of the book helps me a lot because when you're dealing with your physical environment and how to like simplify it, does help to have visuals. So for instance, she's really famous for teaching people how to fold shirts. So like there's this whole section on how to fold a t-shirt, and in this manga version you have like an actual, basically like a chart, a step-by-step visual representation of that. And like, not that I've started folding my shirts perfectly all the time, but I'm getting there. It's also interesting to be in my age range right now. Like I'm 31, and the media and pop culture is like targeting my age group right now in terms of like nostalgia and selling back nostalgic things from my childhood. But like, for instance, I have a Power Ranger here. It's the White Ranger. I took his helmet off so that he could have his civilian head, but he's it's Jason David Frank as Tommy. But I don't know. I got him because I was really into Power Rangers back in the day, and plus he's got a really cool ponytail, and I wear my hair like sort of like that sometimes. Pleasantly surprised to find that they're selling Digimon figures at my Barnes & Noble again. So like, here's War Greymon. I'm probably gonna get another one and paint him black. It's like a whole artistic, nerdy project I have going on. But what can I say? I see a yellow War Greymon and I want to paint him black. Also, of course, Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was another like anime fad that I got into, and I'm still very much into the cards. These Funko Pop things are like a very easy thing to start getting into hoarding. This is the only one I have, but the whole purpose of these things is like buy more and more of them. And it's like, no, I'm not gonna go that far, but I'm happy with this guy. A good friend gave him to me, so you know. My main vice in terms of like gathering things and buying like collectibles and stuff is like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, which just came out with like a box of 200 cards in this box, 8 complete ready-to-play decks, and if you're counting like 100 things, you know, like if you only want to keep like 100 Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, for instance, well, this is way over the limit, and it's just one product that you just bought. So maybe that only counts as one, but it's hard to put a number to things like that, and situations like that like complicate things. I also have here, you know, as I said, I work at a bookstore, and we've talked about the Dark Tower before, but Charlie the Choo Choo by Beryl Evans, aka Stephen King, who would write a children's book just like this, right? Yeah, if he was to write a children's book, yeah. But anyway, Stephen King is a good author to bring up too, because he often is attributed to the quote of like killing your darlings, which I don't know if he originally said that, but he certainly has abided by that. And it's like, sometimes living a simpler life is like editing down a piece of writing that you did, because when you read something, you don't want to read something, you don't want it to have like an excessive amount of words. You don't want it to be wordy. I say as I'm stumbling over my words, like, think of it as editing your life, editing out the excess so that you can live a more streamlined story, basically. And it just feels so much more fulfilling and easier to get up in the morning, at least for me, when everything around me has like a purpose to the story of my life. If you have friends who are creative, who give you gifts, you know, you want to keep those things when they go out of their way to do something like that for you. Like my friend Tana recently made this gnome for me, and she just made this out of like extra fabric and sweaters that she had lying around. And that's one way of like converting excess into something new and meaningful, is like turning it into a piece of art. But like, she made that, look at his little, you know, beard and his little nose hat, and he's even got like a zipper on his on the front of him, reminiscent of like my leather jacket that I wear all the time. But like, yeah. Thing is, if you live long enough, you acquire and accumulate so many things like that. It's like, I'm only 31, like I said. By the time I'm in my 60s, 30 more years from now, it's like, how many more sentimental items will I accumulate in my life? It's like, I have a whole bag of things over there that are like birthday cards and Christmas cards from the past few decades that I've held on to because I didn't want to get rid of them. But sometimes you can't hold on to like just things because they'll just get cluttered, and you have to choose the things that really mean the most. It's a promise that I've made to myself to focus more on the important things in life. Has been very rewarding and fulfilling. It goes along with my belief as a Christian that, you know, if God, in Luke 12, Jesus says, if God provides for the ravens and the flowers of the field, who are here now and gone tomorrow, you know, like in such a short amount of time, how much more will He provide for you, who are made in His image? That's all I wanted to talk about today. Just kind of like a philosophical discussion about that. It's been on my mind a lot, and it's going well.